Hello engineers and welcome to my channel. I am Yash and in this video you will learn how to build REST API using Node and Express. You will learn how to perform all CRUD operations, which is create, read, update and delete. You will learn how to build API with HTTP verbs such as get, post, put and delete. You will also learn how to use Postman for API testing. So let's get started. Okay, so I have created a folder with just one file, which is app.js, and it has some dummy data, which is an array of movies, and each object is a movie, and it has property of ID and name. Okay, so let's go to terminal, not this one. So I'll open up my terminal right here. And if I ls, you can see I have only one file, which is app.js. So next we will just say npm init and dash yes, and our npm is just initialized. So if I do ls, we can see packet.json. Next, what we want to do is we want to install Express. So I'll do npm I express, and this should be done in a couple of seconds. Okay, we are good to go. If I ls now, we can see node modules right here. Okay, let's go to our VS Code, and on top, I hope you guys have copied this. So I'll just okay, and make it like a little smaller. And next I'll just say Express, and this is going to be require Express. After that, we will create app and just initialize Express. Next, we will do app.get. Now this is how you access all the verbs. So you get, you get post, you have put, and you also get delete. We will work on those later in the tutorial, but for now let's start by using get, and this is where you pass the parameter, the route, right? Your API route. So for now, let's just do this. But this can be anything. You can have hello, you can have hello world, you know. For now, let's just keep it to this slash, and here you will have a callback function, which is going to be request response, and just do this. Here, just say res.send, which is basically response.send, and we will just say hello world. But we are not done yet. Along with this, we need to listen to a particular port. So we will do app.listen. Let's say 3000. 3000 is the port. And here we will have a function, and we can just say, let's have parentheses and just say console log and listening on port 3000. And we can have a bunch of dots as well. Now let's go back to our terminal. And now if you do node app.js, you can see listening on port 3000. Okay. Now let's go to our Chrome, Firefox, and if I refresh, okay, so I'll just do localhost 3000. Look at that. You get hello world. Awesome, right? So similar to this, you can return anything actually. Instead of a string, you can have an array. Let's just say 1, 2, 3 and save it. Go back to Firefox. And if you refresh, nothing really happens. The reason is every time you make changes to your code, you need to stop the server and restart it, right? So node app.js. And now if I go back to Firefox and refresh, you see it right here. But then again, like refreshing, starting the server like again and again, it's not a good way to code, right? So for that, you need to install npm i-t. You want to install nodemon. And what this will do is nodemon will keep listening to your code changes, and if once your code changes, it will refresh the server, right? I have already installed it, so just go ahead and do this. And next, what you want to do is nodemon, and we'll do app.js. And now if you see it's nodemon is like continuously running, right? So if I go back to my code, look at that, it's saying listening on port 3000. Go back to your code, and if I add 4 here and save the file, you can see we get listening on port again, right? So basically our server just refreshed. And now if you go to Firefox and refresh, we get 4 as well, right? Awesome. Okay, now let's go back to our VS Code and create something useful, right? So instead of this, I will just switch it back to hello world, hello world, hello world, save it and go back and just refresh. We see hello world, right? Now let's create a new route, which is going to be app.get, and this will be API, and let's say movies, and this is where we will get all the movies. So what I'll do is rest.send and just return your movies, right? Awesome. I just saved the file, go back to Firefox, and so if I hit enter, this is going to be our hello world, which is our home route. Next, if I add API and movies here and enter, look at that, we get all the movies, guys. Super amazing. Okay, let's go back to our code. Now there is a better way to do this. So just copy this, and after movies, create a function. So I'll just say get movies and just paste it right here, and here just say get movies. Okay, this way you will have all the routes like in one view, right? You will have another get, post, and all that stuff, and it's just cleaner. And in future, if the code gets a little messier, what you can do is you can move all this in separate file, right? Okay, that's awesome. Now let's try to create, let's say if you want to fetch only one movie, right? Generally what you do is, this is how the structure works. You pass in the ID here, right? But right now you don't see anything. So let's do this. Here, what you want to do is create another route, and which is going to be app.get, and here you will just say API and movies, and here this is how you use parameter. You put double dots and just say ID. You can say whatever you like. Okay, it can be movie ID or whatever, right? For now, let's just say ID, and we will have request response. And the way you access this ID parameter is, let me show you. So you just do rest.send. So we are just returning the parameter as a response. So I'll just say request.params, okay, and save it, go back here, and if I refresh, we see ID1, right? So if I make it 11, we will get 11, right? But what if you want multiple parameters, right? Generally that happens when you are creating a blog, right? You have like year, so which is 2022, and month is October, and day is, let's say, 25th October, right? How do you use this? So you can actually have multiple parameters. So just say ID. So this is going to be year. We will have month right here, and here this can be day, right? Now if I save it and go back and refresh the page, that's how you can access all different parameters, right? Awesome. But for now, we only want ID, right? So I'll just say ID. And if you go back and see, okay, we don't want all this, we just want one, and 134, not 134, we just want one, right? Okay, we see the ID. Now, the only thing we need to do is, we just need to fetch the single movie. So the way to do that is, just say const movie, and equal to movies.find, and this will have one parameter, which is going to be a movie, and we will just say if movie.id is equal to request.params.id, right? Once again, this should match this, okay? Now if I save it and just instead of request.params, let's just return movie. If I save it and go back and refresh, we don't see anything. The reason is, go back to your code, our movie.id is a number, whereas our parameter ID is a string. So we need to convert this to a number. So I'll just put parentheses right here and just say parse int. And this should do the trick. Go back to Firefox and look at that, guys. Bam, we get our movie, right? Awesome. But what happens if I pass in, so if you notice here, we only have ID 4, right? We only go till ID 4. What if I pass in 33? We don't see anything, which is not really useful for somebody who is consuming your API. So instead of this, what you want to do is you want to return 404, right? Basically resource not found. So we can check for that and just say if movie does not exist, return rest.status, and this is going to be 404 and send, let's just say resource not found, and save it and go back and refresh the page. You see resource not found, right? Super cool, right? Awesome. Okay, next let's go back and we should move this into a separate function. So I'll just cut it and just say get movie and create a new function right here. So const get movie and paste it right here, save it and go back, and if I refresh we see that resource not found because we don't have 33, but we do have 3 and we see it right here. Okay, next we will work on adding a new movie. Basically we will work with post request, right? So here just add some space. Okay, so here what you want to do is app.post, because we are going to add a new movie here, and this is going to be of course a string, and this will be API movies, and just leave it to this. We will pass all the data inside the body. You will see what I mean. And here you will just say request response, and once again, once we are done with this, we will move it to its own function. Okay, so the way you access the data inside the body is what you do. Let's just see what happens. Right here, just say request dot body. Okay, and if I save it right now, so in order for you to send a post request, what you want to get is postman, right? I have already installed on my machine, but just Google postman and you will see what to install, right? And here I will create a new request and here change it to post. And what you want to do is, let's just copy it from here. I'll get the request, put it right here inside postman, and we don't want the number here. Go to body and we'll say raw, and instead of text just change it to JSON. And here you can pass any stuff you want, right? So here I'll just say name, let's say inception, or we can do avatar, and you can have rating as well. I mean, I'm just giving you example, but eventually we will just have avatar. So rating is 3.5, and now if I send, we don't get the response, right? The reason is it's our code is not Express is still not parsing this as JSON, right? The way you specify is you say app.use. For now, just think this is like a middleware, right? And here you will just say express.json and do this, and you should be good to go. If we go back and send the request again, look at that, guys, we get the data, right? So for now, let's just remove this. We don't want the rating, and remove the comma, and if I send again, we see the avatar, right? But what we want to do is we want to add it to our movies array, right? So the way you do that is, of course, you know this is the whole object, right? So what we will do is remove this. We'll say movie name, and request.body, and we will pass it as name. And next we will just add it to our array, right? And here we will have ID, which is going to be movies.length +1, and name is just going to be movie name. You know what we can do is, instead of doing this, let's just make it name, so that we don't need to specify it like this. You can just leave it to this, right? And after that, just say movies.push, and just add our new movie to the array, right? But along with this, the way actual API works is, when you make a post request, when you add data to your actual database, or for now dummy data, you want to return with the data you added. The reason is maybe somebody needs access to this ID, right? Right now for us, it's obvious that it's number 5, but many times it will be like a unique UUID or something, right? So that you can use it for doing some other stuff, right? Once you add stuff to the database, right? Okay, so we are good. Now if I go back to Postman, and okay, let's also add a get request so that we can see. So this is get request. Currently we have 4 movies, right? Just move it here And now if I send it right now, look at that. We have ID is Spy and avatar. If I go back and make another GET request, and look at that, guys, we have another movie inside our dummy data. Awesome, right? Next, let's move this to its own separate function. So I'll just cut this and just say add movie and create a new function here, which is going to be const add movie equal to, and paste it right there. Save it and go back, and it should probably work fine. Let's add a new movie. We can say Mad Max, and make a request again. Oh, the reason is we made changes to our code, so our dummy data reloaded as well. So basically we will not have avatar, we have Mad Max. But if I add avatar now, this is going to be number 6, right? Because we are not refreshing the server, so our dummy data is still there. And you see number 6 is avatar, right? Okay, next, what if you want to update a movie which exists already inside the database? That's where you use a put request, right? So let's go back to our code and create a put request, and we'll just say my bad, app.put, and this one will be API movies, and this one will have ID as well. So that's how you identify which movie you want to update, right? So request response, and just do this. And the way you update the movie is, once again, so we can actually grab this data from our get movie stuff. So that's how we get the movie and paste it right here inside your put request. And after that, so basically if the movie does not exist, again we are returning 404 because resource not found. And just, it's pretty simple. We will just say movie.name is equal to request.body.name. And guys, of course, right now, even in add movie and for put request, we are not doing any validation. Basically, what happens if this is empty? But I guess you can do it on your own, right? How many characters and all that stuff. Feel free to do that once you are done understanding. My goal with this video is to help you understand how Express works, right? I think you can figure out validation on your own, right? Maybe I'll create another video on validation stuff. So just now, just do movie, because once again, once you update the movie, you want to return the updated movie, right? It's supposed to be movie. Save the file, go back to postman, because once again, if you want to make a put request, you need a postman, right? I'll just duplicate this, and here I'll just change it to put. And let's say, so right now we have one tenant, so let's change it to Mad Max, okay, number 1. And once again, we need the ID right here. So what happens if I send it right now? So if I send it, okay, it does exist right now, but if I do 13, resource not found, right? So let's update 1. So once again, I think it's tenant. Oh, it did avatar. Oh, because body already exists. Okay, that's awesome. But you know what? Let's change it to Mad Max, okay? So that we can see what's happening. So Mad Max. And now if I run it, look at that. We are returned with the object, and our data is also changed. You know, let's do one more. Let's change number 4 to avatar, right? So what I'll do is go back here, do number 4, and change this to avatar and run it. So the way the keyboard shortcut to run this is command enter, okay? That's how I'm running it. I go to get request and command enter, and you see avatar right there, guys. Awesome. So currently we covered get request. We did both the get request, getting all the resources, all the data. We also fetched only single object with get alongside ID. We also added a new movie to our dummy data, and we also updated using put request, right? Now let's move this to its own separate function. So I'll just cut it and say update movie and create a new function right here. So this is going to be update movie, and just paste it right here, save it. Go back, and I think it should run fine. Right now it's 10, but if I go back to my put request, hit enter, 4 is avatar, and okay, it's working completely fine, right? So the final thing we need to do is we need to work with delete, right? So once again, let's go back to our code. Just have a couple of enters, and we will say delete, and here you will say API movies, and once again we want the ID, right? And here we'll just say request response, and here once again we need to find it, right? And if it does not exist, just say resource not found. So copy this and paste it right here again, and after that what you want to do is we want to get the index, right? So index is going to be movies dot index of, and we will just say movie, and after that we will say movies dot splice, and we will say index, and we just want to remove one, right? So we'll just say index and one element. And same with post and put request, you return the deleted data, right? So I'll just say rest.send, and this is going to be movie. Save it, go back to postman, and let's create a new request. We can actually duplicate this, and we won't be passing anything, so no, and just to delete here, and let's run the get request first. Okay, we have number 4 here. Let's delete number 1, right? So here let's do 44 first. Okay, resource not found. Let's do 1. If I enter, okay, 1 is here, but what happens if I do it here? Look at that, guys, we successfully deleted a resource. Awesome. So we are almost done with this tutorial. The only thing we should do is so on actual server you won't be able to specify the port, right? You specify it using process variable, right? So the way to do that is you just say const port. Basically it's a constant, so what you want to do is port, and this is going to be process.env.port, and I'll show you how to use that. And if it does not exist, just say 3000 and change this to port, and this one as well, you can actually change that. So the way to do that will be just cut this, remove this, you want backticks here, and instead of this just put $sign and say port right here. Okay, save it. Now if we go back, our server is currently running on port 3000, but the way to specify have a port number, so just say export, and you will say $port. I think you don't need $ for export, so port, and let's just say 3003, and you can actually verify, so do echo port, and if you see, okay, it's right there. Now if I do nodemon and app.js, you will see that our server is listening on port 3003. Okay, now you want to make all the requests to port 3003. So if I try to run this right now, look at that, unable to connect. Just change it to 3003 and it should work completely fine, guys. Awesome. So that's how you use Node and Express to create a REST API. Awesome, right? Okay, if you guys have any comment or question or something, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.